Cheryl Miller photos, Cheryl Miller didn't hold back. Her sharp critique wasn't just about Caitlin Clark being benched. It was about the system that made it happen. As Clark's presence explodes across arenas and airwaves, Miller points to a deeper undercurrent of resistance from Team USA. Her message is clear. Clark's rise isn't just inconvenient. It's threatening to those clinging to control. Miller connects the dots between Clark's exclusion and the sport's long-standing preference for familiarity, revealing a pattern of quiet retaliation against those who break through too fast, too loud, and too soon. Segment. CC match photos. Miller's words strike at the heart of sport and denial. Clark's impact, undeniable in ratings, revenue, and reach, should have propelled her to the Olympic stage. Instead, the system seems intent on slowing her down. Rather than reward her excellence, institutions have responded with favoritism, inconsistent protection, and politics aimed at preservation. Miller exposes this for what it is, a strategic sidelining driven by fear change. Her perspective forces a reckoning, not just with how Clark is treated, but with the culture that sees disruption as disloyalty. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos. So let's get one thing straight. When Cheryl Miller speaks, people in women's basketball should listen. We're not talking about just another retired legend with opinions. We're talking about the Cheryl Miller, one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball, the blueprint for dominance before the WNBA even existed. And now, she's done staying quiet. Because when Caitlin Clark, arguably the biggest name in women's basketball right now, gets benched by Team USA officials ahead of the Olympics, without any clear reason besides she's new, that's not just politics. That's strategy. And Cheryl Miller sees right through it. Segment. CC match photos. Clark isn't just a good player. She's a once-in-a-generation lightning bolt who has blown up ratings, sold out arenas across the country, and completely shifted how people engage with women's basketball. She's a walking highlight reel, a fan magnet, and whether traditionalists like it or not, she's the face of the sport right now. And that's exactly the problem for the old guard. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos. Cheryl Miller didn't mince words when she addressed the treatment of Caitlin Clark. Her critique hit straight at the core of the issue: institutional jealousy, fear of losing control, and a system that would rather protect its own than evolve. Because Clark's rise didn't follow the script. She didn't wait her turn. She didn't play politics. She just played better. And for that, she's being punished. Segment. USB match photos. This isn't about Clark needing more experience. It's not about giving respect to veterans. That's a party line, sure, but everyone watching knows this is about something much deeper. Miller called out plainly. It's about control. It's about hierarchy. And it's about certain people inside Team USA and the wider basketball institution, panicking over what Caitlin Clark represents. Because what happens when a 22-year-old rookie gets more views, more media attention, and more jersey sales than players who've been around for over a decade? What happens when her presence overshadows stars who were once seen as untouchable? What happens when fans start showing up not for the system, but for her? That's a threat. And instead of welcoming it, the system has responded by closing ranks. Miller made it clear that Clark isn't being sidelined because she lacks talent or drive. She's being sidelined because she disrupts the status quo. Her rise wasn't approved. It didn't come with a committee's blessing. And in a structure that thrives on slow progression and keeping people in line, someone like Clark is seen as dangerous. It's the same old playbook, just with new names. When someone rises too quickly, when they threaten to shift power dynamics, the system gets defensive, and Cheryl Miller knows this too well. She's lived it. She's seen how women's sports operate when they feel their power being threatened. This is not the first time a rising star has been met with gatekeeping. But what makes Clark's case so blatant is the scale. We're watching one of the most influential players in all of basketball right now being treated like an inconvenience. Press conference, let's talk facts. Clark's impact is measurable. Her games broke viewership records. Her presence alone sold out road arenas. Social media engagement? Off the charts. Brands want her. Fans adore her. She's bringing in new eyes, new energy, and new money to women's basketball. And yet, somehow, that's being framed as a problem by the people who should be championing her. What Cheryl Miller exposed is not a small oversight. It's not a disagreement. It's systemic resistance, rooted in politics, favoritism, and outdated power dynamics. The message being sent is loud and clear. If you rise too fast, if you make too much noise, if you don't play the political game, you'll be put in your place. Segment. And it's not just about team selection. It's the officiating, too. The inconsistency in how Clark is treated on the court isn't subtle. The fouls not called, the lack of protection, the body checks ignored, all paints a picture. This isn't just a rookie being hazed. This is a calculated effort to knock her down a peg. Why? Because protecting the veterans means preserving the current power structure. Because giving Clark a platform on Team USA, on the Olympic stage, would be admitting she's a face now. And for some, that's a reality they're not ready to deal with. Let's not forget, Team USA isn't just about basketball. It's about politics, image, and control. And the fear? That Caitlin Clark becomes a story. That she overshadows the veterans. That the Olympics becomes about her and not about the system's chosen representatives. That fear is what Cheryl Miller called out, not just in Clark's case, but in how the sport treats anyone who challenges the norm. Miller's comments are significant not just because she's a legend, but because she understands exactly how power in sports operates. She knows that when a player like Clark comes along, the gatekeepers don't celebrate her. They try to contain her. But let's be clear, this isn't about whether Clark deserved to make Team USA. That's not even the point anymore. It's about the system showing its cards. It's about exposing how bias, favoritism, and control still dictate who gets what opportunities, even when the talent gap is undeniable. Miller isn't saying veterans don't deserve their flowers. She's saying the game needs to be honest. If someone is good enough, they're good enough, period. The jersey should go to the best player, not the safest political choice. And yet, the resistance continues. The whispers that she's not ready. The claims that she needs more time. It's PR spin, plain and simple. Because when Cheryl Miller, someone who's seen how stars are built and broken, speaks this directly, she's doing it for a reason. She knows the damage that gatekeeping can do. She knows how many talented players have been buried by systems that fear change. And now that Caitlin Clark has made herself undeniable, those same systems are trying to clip her wings before she really takes off. The irony? This entire situation proves exactly why Clark is essential to the future of the sport. She's forcing the conversation. She's challenging the hierarchy. And now, she's got legends like Miller standing up for her. This isn't just about one player. It's about a generational shift. Clark represents a new era, one driven by visibility, individual excellence, and fan connection. And that era is crashing headfirst into the traditions that want things to stay exactly the same. Miller's words cut through the noise. She's not just defending Clark. She's calling for a reckoning. She's demanding transparency, fairness, and honesty. Because if the sport can't handle someone like Caitlin Clark, someone who brings more people into game than anyone else right now, then what are we even doing? And if the powers that be are afraid of her now, just wait. Because this kind of resistance doesn't suppress a star, it amplifies them. The fans see it. The media sees it. And thanks to Cheryl Miller, the hypocrisy is out in the open. So here's the question. How long can the system keep pretending this is about anything other than fear? Because Clark isn't going anywhere. And the more you try to silence a player like her, the louder the movement around her becomes. Let's be real. The benching of Caitlin Clark isn't just a questionable decision. It's a symbol of everything broken about how power is managed in women's sports. And Cheryl Miller? She just lit the match. If you're as done with the politics as we are, if you're tired of seeing talent buried under bias, drop your thoughts below. Are Team USA officials out of line? Is the system overdue for a shakeup? And where do we go from here? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more breakdowns of the chaos in the world of sports and celebrity drama. This story is only just getting started. Segment: USB match photos and the timing of all this? It's no coincidence. We're heading into the Olympics. The biggest international stage women's basketball has seen in years. All eyes are about to be on Team USA. And just as Caitlin Clark becomes the most talked about name in the sport, what happens? She gets quietly nudged to the side, politely dismissed, not quite cut, but not quite welcomed either. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos, it's a classic move. Create just enough ambiguity to avoid backlash, but make the message clear. You're not in the club yet. And here's where Cheryl Miller absolutely goes in, because she's not playing nice. She's not offering politically correct observations or vague encouragement. She's calling this what it is, a system-wide defense mechanism designed to protect the people already holding the power. Let's be blunt. If Caitlin Clark were just another rookie, there wouldn't be this much noise. But she's not. She's a phenomenon. She's altering the entire trajectory of women's basketball. And that kind of power, when it's coming from someone new, gets people uncomfortable real fast. You think it's just coincidence that she's getting officiated differently? That elbows to her face go ignored? That hard fouls get brushed off? That she's expected to earn respect in ways no male counterpart would be? Come on. This is how systems maintain control. They make the path harder for people they can't control. And that's what this boils down to. Control. Clark can't be molded. She's not relying on the old school to validate her. She's got the fans. She's got the numbers. She's got the spotlight without their permission. That's terrifying for people who've made a career out of gatekeeping. Cheryl Miller is blowing the lid off a long-standing problem that's been simmering in women's sports for decades. This isn't just about basketball. It's about how institutions react when someone becomes too popular, too fast, without kissing the ring. The thing is, Clark doesn't need to play the political game. She already won the popularity contest by being good. She earned her hype with a performance, not by aligning herself with the right camps or cozying up to the system. And now that she's here, that she's commanding more attention than the veterans who were once the face of the league, the narrative has flipped. Suddenly, it's about experience, team chemistry, and earning your spot. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos. Funny how those buzzwords only show up when a fresh talent is taking the spotlight, huh? Cheryl's not buying it. And neither should we. This is about power. Plain and simple. About who gets to be elevated, and who gets to be told to wait their turn. But when your turn is now, and you're still told to sit down, what does that say? It says the system isn't built for change. It's built to preserve itself. And Miller, a woman who's been on the receiving end of institutional bias in her own career, isn't about to let history repeat itself in silence. She knows exactly what it looks like when the machine starts trying to clip a star's wings. And she's not just defending Clark. She's exposing the entire playbook. Now, some defenders of the status quo will say this is all overblown. That Clark will get her chance. That she just needs time. But that argument only works when the playing field is fair. And Cheryl is saying what fans have already been whispering. It's not fair. It's never been. Because if this were truly a merit-based system, Clark would already be starting conversations about the Olympics, not being framed as lucky to even be in the mix. It's the same gaslighting cycle women in sports have been dealing with forever. You're not good enough yet. You need more time. You need to prove yourself more. Then once you do all of that, you're told you're too dominant or taking up too much attention. There is no winning unless you play the system's game. And Clark didn't. She rewrote it. Segment. See match photos. She brought in millions of new fans. She sold out venues. She took Iowa, of all places, and made it the epicenter of basketball excitement. And for all that, what does she get? A front row seat to a game she should be leading. You can feel the tension across the league. Some veterans have been subtle with their resentment. Others, not so much. Cryptic interviews. Lukewarm praise. Eye-roll level comments about rookie hype. It's not hard to read between the lines. The jealousy? Palpable. The insecurity? Off the charts. And you know what makes it worse for them? Clark doesn't take the bait. She keeps her head down. She plays. She competes. She doesn't lash out or beg for approval, which only adds to the resentment. Because how dare she stay composed and be better? This is where Cheryl Miller's voice becomes more than commentary. It becomes a rallying cry. Because when someone like her, with her legacy, her credibility, and her experience, calls this out, it forces people to look deeper. She's not saying veterans don't deserve respect. She's saying talent deserves opportunity. And when someone like Caitlin Clark isn't just talented, but transformational, denying her the space to shine is actively holding the sport back. Team USA officials had a chance to build something fresh, something exciting, something that reflects the future of basketball. And they chose to play it safe, to keep things comfortable, to avoid uncomfortable shifts in power. But here's the problem. The shift is already happening. Clark's presence isn't a blip. It's not a viral moment. It's a movement. Fans are invested. The media's all in. Young girls are picking up basketballs because of her, not because of some carefully manufactured campaign. She is the campaign. And if the people in charge can't, or won't, see that, then maybe they're the ones who shouldn't be calling the shots anymore. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos. What Cheryl Miller did by speaking out wasn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She ripped off the mask. She forced a conversation the league clearly didn't want to have. One about bias, about politics, about who gets protected, and who gets policed. Because let's be honest, it's not just about Clark's game. It's about what she represents. She's not just a new player. She's a cultural shift, a disruption, a mirror held up to a sport that has long operated under unspoken rules and quiet favoritism. And now that mirror is cracked. We're watching a system scramble. The officiating inconsistencies, the vague comments, the she'll have her time deflections, it all points to one thing: fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of change. Fear of a new generation that isn't waiting to be handed the torch. They're taking it. And Cheryl Miller? She's not asking politely anymore. She's demanding answers. She's challenging the machine. And in doing so, she's giving voice to every player who's ever been told to wait their turn, stay quiet, or shrink themselves to fit in. This moment is bigger than Caitlin Clark. It's about fairness. It's about visibility. It's about burning down the idea that respect has to be earned through silence and obedience rather than performance and impact. So where does that leave us? With a league at a crossroads. With Team USA showing us, in real time, what happens when politics outweigh performance. And with fans who are no longer content to sit back and accept the status quo. Caitlin Clark has already changed the game. That's undeniable. The only question now is whether the people in charge are ready to catch up or get left behind. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Is this about experience or is it about control? Are Team USA officials making the right call, or is this just another example of a system afraid of change? And let's be honest, this isn't going away anytime soon. Because you don't just bench the most talked about player in the sport right before the biggest international event of the year and expect people to shrug it off. You don't sideline a cultural phenomenon without consequences. And the longer this tension lingers, the more obvious it becomes. This was never just about basketball. It's about the fear of losing grip on a narrative. For years, women's basketball has operated under controlled spotlight. The gatekeepers curated the stars, decided who got the media push, and who was allowed to be the face. It was predictable, safe, political, and then came Caitlin Clark. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't wait for the system to embrace her. She forced the spotlight. Through nothing but her performance, her poise, and her unmatched influence, she created a fan base that made the establishment nervous. And Cheryl Miller knows it. Her message wasn't coded. It wasn't subtle. She said what many are too scared to. The problem isn't Caitlin Clark. It's the system being unwilling to accept that she's already bigger than it. And that's the uncomfortable truth that's been exposed. Clark isn't getting benched because she's not talented. She's getting benched because her popularity threatens the old pecking order. Her presence alone exposes just how stagnant the power dynamics in women's basketball have become. Veterans have earned their place. Sure, no one's questioning the grind it took to get there. But when a player redefines a game in real time, when she brings in millions of new eyes and changes the economy of the sport, you don't tell her to wait her turn. You build around her. But instead, what's happening? She's being treated like a distraction, like a media circus to be managed, like a rookie who doesn't get it, And maybe that's true. Maybe she doesn't get why politics should matter more than performance. Maybe she doesn't get why hierarchy is more important than impact. Maybe she doesn't get why a sport desperate for growth would choose to downplay the one player who actually delivered it. And honestly, good. Because the second Clark starts accepting that logic, she's no longer the disruptor we need her to be. Segment. CM Cheryl Miller. Photos. That's exactly why Cheryl Miller stepping in now matters so much. She's not just defending Clark. She's validating everything fans have been yelling from the sidelines. She's giving legitimacy to what could have been dismissed as fan overreaction or rookie entitlement. Because when a legend speaks up, the silence around her becomes deafening. And that silence, it's been loud. Where are the other leaders? The officials? The broadcasters who have praised Clark all season long? Suddenly, they're quiet. Carefully worded statements. Neutral stances. No one wants to say the quiet part out loud. Except Cheryl. She came with receipts, with clarity, and with the kind of credibility that can't be dismissed. She didn't need to go viral. She chose to speak because she knew the way of her words would make people uncomfortable. And that's exactly what needed to happen. Segment. USB match photos, because you don't get change without discomfort. You don't get progress by keeping things polite. This moment right here is a fracture point for women's basketball. It's a collision between legacy and future, between control and evolution, between safe choices and bold moves. Team USA had the chance to make a statement, to show that they see where the game is going, and they're not afraid to ride the wave. Instead, they doubled down on what's familiar, what's expected, what's safe. And it's not just a missed opportunity. It's a warning sign. Because if the powers that keep ignoring the obvious, if they keep prioritizing politics over progress, they're going to lose the very audience Caitlin Clark brought to the game. The truth is, Clark doesn't need Team USA to stay relevant. She is relevant. Her fans will follow her. The media will continue to amplify her. Brands will continue to invest in her. But Team USA, they had a chance to evolve, and they blinked. Now, they're not just answering players like Cheryl Miller. They're answering to a fan base that's paying attention. That's asking questions. That's no longer willing to accept the party line. And that's the real shift happening here. The power is moving. Slowly. Uneasily. But undeniably. Close phase, so, to everyone still clutching the rule book, still trying to protect how things are done, you might want to take Cheryl Miller's words as a memo. The future is already here. And her name is Caitlin Clark. If you're with us, if you believe it's time for real change in women's basketball, let your voice be heard. Drop a comment. Share this with someone who needs to see the full picture. And don't forget to subscribe, because this story, it's far from